Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back bringing you some Honkai Star Rail, and obviously today is going to be quite an interesting topic that I found I think is really important to talk about, and that being specifically that I think there's a lot of difference between account progression and character progression. So obviously I don't want to spend too much time obviously blubbering about why I came up with the topic, but I'm going to just be talking about why I think the difference between the two, and obviously the things that I've found, especially now that I've gotten my account very well done in terms of. And the best thing about it is that this account is free to play. I think I will link the video, obviously, or rather just put the screenshot of the video that I did summoning for Akron and Luocha on as I talk. But I'll be talking about obviously my thoughts on whether account progression is better than character progression or character progression is better than account progression. So obviously, just to start off, the reason why I'm making this video is because I am finally able to basically clear Forgotten Hall, obviously all the way to MOC 12. This is the team that I used specifically. Obviously my Jeopard, let me just see if I can click on him. He's level 70, obviously with let me see if I can get his light cone. With his light, actually I didn't use his light cone. I used this one specifically, obviously to cater for what's her name, Akron, and obviously being able to get those stacks. Now obviously his talent levels are 8, 8 and 4, because I just mostly focused on his shield, and then obviously I've not unlocked this trace yet. But weirdly, actually I have enough. Well, I think I'll have enough to summon for adventuring, which is very good, which I think is very good, because from what I've seen, I think my pity right now is literally either at 60 or 70, and it was the double 5-star that I got on the previous video. I kind of link it as I'm talking. Yeah, it was this one right here. So I am at 60, no, actually not even 60. I'm at 65. Yes, I'm at 65. Yeah, I'm at 65, 67, 68, 69. So I'm at 69. So if I do another 10 pull, I will be guaranteed the next 5-star. So obviously I think this is just going to be saving up for, I'm going to be saving up for the adventuring, because I want to add him to this account as a good preservation. So as we dive into now obviously the main topic, what I've found specifically for obviously account progression versus character progression. So I have an account that managed to basically get Akron, or actually until Eidolon 4. Right? Actually, I know it was I maxed out Akron on that account. I'll see if I can kind of put the picture here as I'm talking. But one of my accounts I'd been saving actually started with that account since Ruin Maze banner, and I've been saving since then. And obviously, I just went on like a full-on. Let me just go all in. I had about like 500 to 600, 530 stellar passes to basically just E6 Akron. So I went all in on that Akron, and obviously my thoughts are, because obviously now you see on this account I have her and I have her light cone, right? And one of the major question is on that account, is it better than this account? And I feel the answer is very so I can't explain how different it is. I feel like account progression is good to a certain point, right? And I mean that because all these characters that I have, most of the time you are going to be using 5-stars more than you're using 4-stars. And the 4-stars you're using are mostly like the healers, maybe Pella, Lynx and stuff. But most of these characters, all of them are just the general, no E1, just the character. But I do have light cones for all of them, apart from Silver Wolf and apart from Dr. Ratio and Clara. So my main question becomes that I've asked myself, and I've tried to kind of create a topic on it. I feel as though the only time that character progression is necessary, like you would rather have an E6 character than have account progression, is in the situation where you are able to fully clear Forgotten Hall up to 36 stars and up to obviously floor 12. Now I'm not saying this, I did it in like 3 rounds. Like I was literally at the benchmark, like the 20th cycle. That's when I actually managed to finish this, because what I've learned is that when you get to this point where you're able to clear it completely is when you can start working on eidolons for a 5-star character. Whereas if you are starting off an account or midway through an account and you focus on getting an E6 character, E4 character, you will have a harder time because you'll probably only have that 1 DPS that is obviously high damage output, and that's not good, because if you look at something like MOC, which obviously now we're looking at again, it's the fact that you always want 2 sets of teams that cover a specific ratio of elements. So you want your first or second team, but I'll start with the first team. You always want your first team to have either a fire, quantum, or lightning DPS, or even both in some cases. And then you want your second team to always have that mixture of physical, imaginary, and wind element, because most of these characters, as you see, one boss will always have an imaginary physical and wind weakness, whereas the second boss will always have a fire, lightning, or quantum weakness. So if you go to now, let's say like floor 11, you see here, so this one has quantum and fire and electricity, right? So it's usually in that mixture. And then the second one, obviously, unless you're facing the Svarog, will always have this kind of wind, fire and electricity. More times than not, you can kind of get away with having 1 DPS for this type of boss, but majority of the time you kind of have this kind of situation. There's always either a wind, physical or imaginary on one stage of the boss, and then the other one has a majority of the lightning, fire, and quantum kind of weakness. So I think when you're starting, it's better for you to focus on account progression. So meaning you're able to get different types of characters, 5-star characters specifically, doesn't have to be the Lycone, that cover a range of specific elements. So in this account, I never had a good Nihility lightning unit, or rather I didn't have a good lightning unit specifically until Acheron came out. I got her and I got her Lycone, but she has dominated so much for any single boss that has a lightning weakness that now I am able to basically do MOC 12 as long as I'm reaching about like 26 cycles on, or rather 4 cycles, leaving me with 26 cycles on the next one, because she clears within about like 3 cycles, and that's with a Pella and a Silver Wolf in her team. Now obviously it's good to have a shielder, and that's why I'm going for adventuring, because obviously I only have 10 pulls, but I'm only left with about like 10 pulls to get adventuring, and it's guaranteed. But in most cases, even a Jeopard is good. The reason why I want the adventuring is because adventuring is able to constantly put out the shields that he has to give a team, whereas with Jeopard it takes quite a while. He's still tanky, but it takes quite a while for you to get his shield. But then obviously now I have my second team that mostly revolves on Jinglu as my major DPS, or Dan Heng as my major DPS, and then obviously my Sparkle and Bronya supporting them. So most of the time I'll usually have this as a team. Let me show you. So most of the time if I'm kind of creating MOC teams, it kind of looks like this. So I usually go Sparkle, Bronya, Dan Heng, and then Imbibit Luna. So this is basically what I usually build. If I'm running a simulated universe, then usually I'll go with a Silver Wolf here, but usually I'm mostly focused on getting MOC done. So this is usually my team, because if they have any imaginary weakness, he just obliterates it. And then obviously another team that I have that's not with Acheron is the same kind of team, where I have basically Sparkle, I have Bronya, and then I have my Jinglu, who also deals a shit ton of damage, and then I have my Luocha, because I will not lie, Luocha is a godsend. His damage, his healing output, as much as anyone has had him in the past, I think it's quite amazing. And then obviously when now we're looking at the fire weakness now enemies, or electricity or lightning weakness enemies, now this is where I kind of now sort of branch off. Now that I have Acheron at such a good level, I'll usually go Acheron. Actually, I'll usually go Jeopard now with that light cone, the preservation light cone that gives an enemy a debuff, and then I'll usually go Acheron, Silver Wolf, and then Pella. So just obviously for everyone to know, I don't have her light cone. I have her 4-star light cone, the one that we get for free, and that's pretty much it. Obviously with Pella having this, obviously resolution shines as pearls of sweat, and then obviously my Acheron, let me see, where's my Acheron? My Acheron being obviously with her light cone, and then this is what I run on him specifically because of this this debuff that you get. I don't have it at Super Imposition 5. I've never gotten the light cones enough to Super Imposition 5, but basically this is how I usually kind of structure my teams. So this is always just going to be one team specifically. It doesn't matter if at all the boss has the lightning weakness, this is the team I'm running. Now I'm going to be adding Adventuring to this specifically, so he can just constantly put on shields to obviously protect the team, because the some boss fights is so irritating if you do not have a shielder or you don't have a ruin mate to kind of break the shield as fast as possible. But in other cases, most of the time I usually go with this team comp or this team comp, especially now that they either have an ice weakness or imaginary weakness. And even sometimes I'll go Clara, because Clara as well is such a big unit in terms of like damage. And you know what, I'm surprised over the fact that these are the stats of my Clara, but she hits so hard, it's unbelievable. Like so hard in terms of her counters. So yeah, I think none of these characters have their Eidolons. I think probably apart from Bronya, and that was just from the standard banner. And then I have, I think, my Himiko. So that means obviously I think everyone can testify to this. But I think even my Jeopard. No, not my Jeopard. Do I even have Yang Qing on this account? I don't even know if I have Yang Qing on this account. Let me see. No, I don't have him on this account. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think when you're starting, it's better to have a roster of characters rather than focus on one specific character to E6. Yes, 100% they're going to deal damage. The account that I have that has E6 Acheron, she hits like a tank, but I have nothing on the second team, like nothing at all. And if anything, I would actually build to give a proper example, because I don't want to like move back and forth on accounts. This is how the other account would actually look like, where I have, because I actually did manage to get Luocha on that account, I would actually go him, because she's E6, we have that removal of one Nihility character. I would go where is he? I would go the Trailblazer, Gallagher, Acheron, and then probably maybe one of, on that account I don't have Sparkle, so I'll usually go Bronya, because that account has Bronya. I think everybody has Bronya. So this is usually the team I run on the first team of that other account, because she actually it's not Bronya that I have, it's Silver, it's her. Yeah, this is the team that I run. Sorry, this is the team I usually run on that account. So my first team for MOC is usually this, because now she's at E6, and because she's at E6, she deals like a ton, and I mean a ton of damage. You get debuffs from him, with that light cone, and then obviously you get debuffs from Pella, and that's usually my account. On the second team of that account, usually I'll have, let's say I replace Bronya as my Ruin Mei, so I'll usually have the Ruin Mei, I'll have my Doctor Ratio, then I have Clara on that account. And then I have a good healer, I have Luocha on that account. So usually on that account, this is how it looks like. This is literally my team on that other account. I've got the Trailblazer, I've got Gallagher, Acheron, Pella. Acheron being the only character at the moment that is basically E6, with only one superimposition of their light cone, and then the second team being now in this case Ruin Mei, Dr. Ratio, Clara, and then Luocha. And this team, it does well. That's what I can say. I don't have any wind characters on that account, so unfortunately, like, I can't deal as much damage. I don't have a Black Swan, nor do I have a Blade, so it's usually sometimes limiting on some aspects. But basically on my account, this main account, this one, I think this is usually the best. If I'm able to clear MOC like I've just showed you right now, I keep going back here and I can just walk forward. The fact that now I can actually clear all the way to MOC 12, I find now I can move on to the next step as a free-to-play, where I know 100% I have very good coverage of my units on this account, that now I can actually just now start building upon the characters themselves, whereas before, or whereas in most people's cases, they will actually go all in on a character like I've just done for Acheron, and then get them at E6 and kind of not go from there in terms of getting other characters. 100% it works, but you have to, if as a free-to-play, that's a very slow and patient way to obviously play the game, and nobody's going to judge you for that at all. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So to end off the discussion, do I think character progression is better than account progression? I think it really depends. Obviously, if you have money to spend, 100% go and spend. That's no problem. But from a free-to-play perspective, first of all, you'll have to have saved close to even 500 Stellar Passes, right? 500. And 500 Stellar Passes is not a joke. 500 is about like 6 to 7 months of saving, like close to more than half of a year of saving on that account. No pulling, nothing, right? And some people, obviously, Hoyovis is going to be removing characters that are so good to the point where you do not want to miss them. So overall, from a free-to-play perspective, I do think that having account progression is way better than having character progression, because if you have account progression, you basically have a roster of teams and different elements that cover different teams to help you clear MOC 12 or all the way to the end, because that is the end game of this game. It is the end game of this game, to be able to clear this like every other 2 weeks. Yeah, to clear this every other 2 weeks, every other month, like it's obviously done here, and get that extra 700 and what do you call it? Let me see. It's usually about like 750. No, it's not here even. So it's usually to get that extra 750 Stellar Jade, because 750 Stellar Jade just like that is really good. And I think everyone agrees to that. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys obviously have a wonderful day. If you have your comments, or you think obviously you have something else to say, feel free to obviously put on the comments below, and I will see you all in the next one.